Good morning, my name is Bando and this is Brexit Bando, and I would like to say that I'm back properly. I'm going to be trying to do at least one proper big video a week, and I'm going to try and do one short video a day. And yeah, we're back with another Detailing the Legion video, and today it's the Thousand Suns. I have a small-ish Thousand Suns army, and they are thematically one of my favourite legions, and I think they are probably the most tragic legion, because it is a total misunderstanding and sort of manipulation as to why they are considered traitors, and it's one of those moments that's sort of almost a screaming at the TV, you know, so the characters can hear you, you know, don't open that, don't go in there sort of moment. As to, you know, when Russ is convinced to destroy them, and rather than bring them in to stand judgment. And I think Magnus would have been one of the most loyal subjects of the Empire had he been given the chance. So the Thousand Suns are a wonderful, wonderfully characterful legion, and like many of the ones we covered before, they have a heavy inspiration from a specific culture on Earth, and that is very heavily inspired by ancient Egypt. And this was great back when we were making pre-heresy armies, before 30k was a thing, because we still had access to a lot of the Khemri kits, and the Khemri kits were fantastic because you had lots of really cool shields in them, you had kopeshes, you had all these really cool banners and little bits and pieces that you could be used to detail your models. Now, unfortunately, those bits no longer exist. If you've ever been onto any of the things like the Facebook sales groups for Warhammer Fantasy Battles, you'll see that Khemri box sets go for an absolute fortune, and I am talking well above Games Workshop, you know, level of fortune. I've seen kits that were £20 going for closer to 100. I've seen start collecting box sets going for 200. It's there's still clearly a demand for the old Khemri Tomb Kings. And obviously Games Workshop is not catering for that. So we have to make do, and one of the big problems we have with Thousand Suns is there is not a plastic upgrade kit, because they are not a 40k chapter. But we do have a couple of other kits. We do have the Thousand Suns 40k kits, which is... there's at least 3 kits in there that I can think of that actually are useful, which is the Scarab Occult Terminators, the Rubric Marines, and the Exalted Sorcerers kit. All 3 of which can be used. There are bits of them that can't, some of the more heavily mutation-y bits, which you could use if you were being creative. For example, a traitor, or, you know, a traitor Thousand Suns sorcerer, and his arms all glowing because it's turned into this weird feathered demon arm because he's casting a spell. Fine, you know, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But there are a few bits in there that are just a bit too far gone. There's a pair of legs with some like claw feet in the sorcerer's kit that I'm not a big fan of. But the other thing we have is the Forge World Thousand Suns decal sheet, which is a wonderful decal sheet, and you can now get it through regular Games Workshop, and more importantly, you can get it through places like Dark Sphere, Element Games, The Outpost, and all that, at a sort of £2 or £3 off the retail price, which doesn't seem like much, but when you're paying £20 or over £20 for a sheet of decals, it feels like a lot you're getting off. You know, it's not a bad discount. So, like all of the legions, we can go for the sort of proto-legion stylings, which is the horsehair crests, the short gladius swords, and the taruges, the traditional kind of 30k Space Marine look. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It does look a bit weird when you see Thousand Suns with straight European style swords. But there is nothing to say that they weren't carrying swords like that. There's nothing wrong saying that they weren't carrying axes, they weren't carrying maces, hammers, all sorts. But if you really want to blow sort of blow that away and kind of really go deep into it, you really want to look at some sort of ancient Egyptian weapons. And you can see some really interesting style of ancient weaponry out there. Now, before I show off some of my models, I will preface this with some people make comment of my Thousand Suns asking why are they orange. My Thousand Suns are not orange. They are supposed to be more of a copper colour based off of this wonderful piece of Karl Kopinski artwork, which is in the Collected Visions book. And I saw this and I absolutely fell in love with it. I think this is hands down one of the best pieces of Thousand Suns artwork out there. You've got the more retro looking weapons in them, you know, the wired up plasma gun, the bolt pistol with the magazine all the way forward. You've got this really sort of archaic looking armour with lots of cables, the big slab sided sort of Mark 6 legs on them. They've got the Scarab logo all over them. They've got the old retro jump packs. He's got like a 4-sack sort of thing there going on. I love it. I think it is great, and it really fired up my imagination. So my Thousand Suns are done with Angron Red air paint, Angron Red clear air paint over a gold base coat, and then I hit them with several coats of matte varnish, and it dulls it back down to a more kind of coppery orange. So here's one of mine, and this Mark III Marine is going to show you one of the most simple ways you can add detail to your Thousand Suns, and that is the Achaean pattern helmet available from Forge World. This helmet was designed specifically for the Thousand Suns. It has kind of a miniature what are they called, psychic hood built into it. If you're going to do nothing to your army, this is what you should be looking for. You know, if you don't want to go and try and do anything crazy, this is sort of the absolute minimum you could really do to make them pop and make them look a lot more like Thousand Suns. It's in all the classic artwork. It just stands out. It doesn't look like a helmet that belongs to anyone else. It's uniquely identifiable as being something for the Thousand Suns. The other thing you can look at is loincloths. Loincloths are a really good one. You can get some really great loincloths off of the Eldar Wraithguard kit. That's another really good way of adding a bit of interesting detail to them. So here we got a sergeant for just the veteran tactical squad, and I've given him a Khopesh sword from the Exalted Sorceress kit, I think it is, from 40k. He's also got a shoulder pad from the same kit, or it may be from it's from one of the other 40k kits. I've also given him a 3D printed head, and bare heads are a great way to show off some really rich and interesting skin tones in a Thousand Suns army. Get some really nice sort of Middle Eastern and sort of Mediterranean-esque skin tones out of them, because it can look really nice. Another member of the veteran squad you can see here, I've given him a 3D printed head with a targeter on it. Things like targeters are great to give troops who are going to need them. You know, long-range soldiers, heavy weapons troops like this guy, commanders. Giving them something a bit different on the helmet really helps break out the sort of monotony of them. And I went for these helmets here because they're a little bit more archaic, and I like the look of them. I mean, Thousand Suns had their own Forge World associated with them, so having all these weird and wonderful different patterns, weapons and helmets looks really cool for me. Now, here you got a bit of a kit bash. Now this is a Rubric Marine, which I believe is his legs, his arms. It may even be the torso. I can't actually remember if the torso is one as well. It might just be a regular Mark IV torso, with a Mark IV flamer and a Mark IV head and a Mark III backpack. The head the guns and the backpacks of the rubric kit are generally the only parts that I don't believe are usable. So you swap those out for some more heresy looking ones, because they're the focal points of the miniature. Everyone looks straight at the helmet. They see the helmet, the shoulder pads, the backpack, and the weapon. It's then they look into the little details everywhere else. The legs are great. They do just look a bit more interesting. They've got kind of a pirate cult vibe with the sort of fire coming up underneath them. And for a tactical support squad, which was filled with guys with nothing but flamers, with the whole idea of burning out the books and knowledge that they've collected so it can't be given to the enemy, I think that works really well, personally. Here's a group shot of some of the characters. This is sort of my command section here. And another thing that's really important when detailing models is your bases, and ensuring that your bases match. And I'm not happy with the bases on my Thousand Sons, I'll say that off the bat. So they will be getting replaced at some point. So I've got my Praetor here, and my Praetor is actually made from several kits. The legs are from, I think it's Shadow Captain Corvidai, who's now renamed and is available in just the standard company command box of 40k. It looks a bit different because I've done a bit to it, but he's the captain with the weird winged helmet and the sword in the dodgy angle, and the big flared out eagle leg, which I took a while to file down flat. So what I've done here is I have given them a torso from a not Mark IV, it is Mark IV, but it's the Rubrics kit again. The head is from, it might even be from the Sorcerer's kit, sorry. The arm is a standard Mark III arm, I believe. The weapon is from the plastic Ahriman kit. In fact, the whole arm might be from Ahriman. The other arm is a Mark III arm, Mark III shoulder pad, a Rubric shoulder pad, a Mark VI backpack. The collar piece is from either the Rubric's kit or it's from the Sorcerer's kit. And the head is definitely from the Sorcerer's kit, because I really wanted this nice long Mark VI sort of Corvidai style beak. Annoyingly, there is no sort of Anubis themed parts for the Thousand Sons yet, even though they do have a brotherhood or order of that. It's the Order of the Jackal, who look after the dreadnoughts and a lot of the secrets of the Legion, which is who this represents. The Raven, I believe, is from Puppets of War, and was just thrown in to balance out the model because it was missing something. Next up I have a Moritat. With this, a lot of these parts come from the Sorcerer's kit. It's an old resin Mark II or Mark V, I believe it's Mark II jump pack. The plasma pistols, one of them is from a metal Vanguard Veterans or kit, I believe, and the other one is a old classic plastic Chaos plasma pistol. He's got the Achaean helm. All in all, I've just tried to keep this sort of, how do I put this? The more kind of archaic armor. A lot of the artwork for the Thousand Sons has them in this more kind of riveted armor, but it's clean and it's well maintained. It's not like, say, Death Guard or Space Wolves, where it's a bit dirty and the rivets are there and it's all held together like that, and it's meant to look old and not as sophisticated. Theirs is more supposed to look old, as in antiquated. That's what I get, certainly, from a lot of the artwork. So if you look at things like sort of fantasy artwork of fantasy Egyptian settings, that's something you could use for a lot of inspiration. I also tried to add a little bit of alternate colour in here with the blue, with the stripes based sort of on, you see on the sort of the pharaoh's headpieces. Next up is the Herald, and this is a mixture of Rubric kits and parts from the regular command squad, the plastic command squad. And then the banner has a piece from the Sorcerer's kit. Again, because it's a rubrics kit, I've thrown a Mark III pack and a different head on there, another one with the Achaean head, and I've used the decal sheet to really sort of go heavy on a lot of different decals for different things. I mean, with these guys, you really can sort of put a lot of decals in there. They could mean all sorts of things. They could mean, they could be spells, they could be records of battle. So those decal sheets, I think personally, are a fantastic investment. And taking some time to learn how to use decals with things like Microsol and Microset is wonderful. It's definitely worth the investment. There's nothing worse than putting a decal onto a model and seeing that it all folds up and it doesn't sit right and you feel like you've wasted the decal. So take some time, Google or go onto YouTube, have a look at some of the tutorials for how to use decals a bit better. It will definitely improve your hobbying. The Apothecary, the one unit that really gets me a lot of grief because of the Imperialis on his chest. It is what it is. It's the only Apothecary torso I have access to with the plastic kit. This is a Rubric A model, Mark III shoulder pads, and bits from the Apothecary part of the command squad. The staff is from the Sorcerer's kit, and the head is printed. With this, I just wanted to try and make him look like a cross between a medic and sort of a soothsayer, the court physician, that sort of thing. I also liked that the white contrasted heavily against the black alternate colours of most of the army. This is a Legion Vigilator, so he's armed with his bolter and cloak, and is actually made from a Raven Guard Mordathan model. The Raven Guard style shoulder pads, I think, are wonderful. Maka in the Outer Circle is currently using them on his new Salamanders, and they do look wonderful. Again, with the alternate kind of technology, the antiquity. I use a lot of brown washes. This army doesn't use any oil washes like most of my armies do. So I used a lot of brown washes to try and make the gold appear aged, more dull, sort of more bronze-like. And I used a Chaos backpack. I think this is one from just the regular new Chaos kit. I'm not a big fan. There's a bit more kind of trim on them. I do love the Anvilus pattern pack from the old Chaos Space Marine kit. I think it was better, personally. You can also see there's a lot of chipping on these guys, which is just done with a bit of silver after I've varnished everything. The Master of Signals. Master of Signals is using parts from the Mark IV Command Upgrade Sprue, which is the head in the backpack. A Servo Skull from a random kit. I'm not entirely sure which kit that's from. And then some Primaris arms, because everyone uses these Primaris arms for something, and I think they look great. The big boxy computer on the arm, absolutely fantastic. Lots of random pouches. I used a Mark III torso for this guy. I wanted to kind of, again with the hodgepodge of armour. And the the legs are from the Sorcerer's kit. So that's really kind of what I've done for myself personally. But what I'm going to recommend to you is, for this army in particular, go and find a copy of Collected Visions, or I think it's called Visions of Heresy now, which is the old Horus Heresy art book. And it has all the artwork that came out for around about 4th edition, was used in the collectible card game that they did at the time. And it's all over the place. I mean, it would set a purist's heart on fire when they saw it, because loads of Marines are in like Mark 7 armour for no reason whatsoever. There's awful spelling mistakes in the book. There is labelling mistakes. You have people in the wrong colour armour. It's all over the place. But the artwork itself, like this piece here, it's wonderful at triggering the imagination. I mean, this Terminator's got a Stormbolt, for Christ's sake. But the posing and the styles and the helmets and just the story it visually tells. Personally, I think Visions of Heresy as a book is just like up there with the decals. It's a wonderful investment for improving your heresy awareness. Okay, that's me. I'm Bando. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I have very much nearly finished the first unit of my new Ultramarines army, and I'll be sharing that off soon in a short video. I have finally decided what I'm going to be doing for the bases, and it's not going to cost me as much as the unit just in bases like it was originally. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you have any complaints, drop them in the comments. If you just want to say, hey, thank you, don't, because it's weird and creepy. Just ask me a question instead, I'd much prefer it. Okay, my name is Bando, it's Sunday evening, and I'm going to go and make myself a steak. I want you guys to have fun, stay safe, and, you know, keep doing your best in the hobby. Peace out.